Welcome to our channel, where books come alive on screen. Get ready for 5-chapter wonders that inform, captivate, and spark your imagination. Join us in this literary journey where every chapter is an adventure. Haunting Enigma, the Enfield Poltergeist of the 1970s, by Just Stories. Chapter 1, A Suburban Nightmare begins. The quiet streets of Enfield, a seemingly idyllic London suburb, held a sinister secret that would soon thrust it into the chilling grip of terror. The year was 1977, and the Hodgson residence at 284 Green Street would become the epicenter of a haunting enigma that would haunt the collective memory for decades to come. In the dead of night, the Hodgson family was jolted awake by an eerie scratching sound that seemed to originate from the walls themselves. Margaret, the matriarch, clutched her children tightly, hoping to shield them from the growing sense of unease. The flickering light from the hallway cast distorted shadows on the walls, making the ordinary seem ominous. As the days turned into weeks, the disturbances escalated. Objects began to move of their own accord, as if manipulated by an invisible hand. Chairs slid across the floor, doors creaked open and shut without any rational explanation, and toys flew across rooms as if guided by an unseen malevolence. The children, particularly young Janet, began to display odd behavior, speaking in voices not their own, their eyes taking on an unsettling intensity. But it was the nights that brought the true horrors to life. The once peaceful abode transformed into a cacophony of inexplicable sounds. Muffled footsteps echoed through the hallways, whispers seemed to linger just beyond the range of hearing, and the walls themselves seemed to groan under the weight of a malevolent presence. One night, Margaret woke to find Janet suspended in midair, her body contorted in an unnatural pose before collapsing back onto her bed. Neighbors and friends who dared to venture into the Hodgson home were met with a chilling atmosphere that seeped into their very bones. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy that defied explanation. Skeptics tried to dismiss it as childish pranks or overactive imaginations, but the sheer intensity of the phenomena defied all rational attempts at debunking. The Hodgson family's despair deepened as they struggled to make sense of the relentless onslaught. Sleep-deprived and anxiety-ridden, they sought refuge in the warmth of their own beds, only to be tormented by relentless knocking that echoed through the walls, as if the house itself were pleading for release from an ancient curse. As news of the inexplicable disturbances spread through the community, whispers of the supernatural began to circulate. The once tight-knit neighborhood found itself torn between fear and curiosity, as tales of levitating objects and ghostly apparitions gripped their imaginations. The Hodgson home, once a sanctuary, had become a theater of the macabre. The stage was set for a suburban nightmare that would defy reason and plunge Enfield into a chilling enigma that challenged the very boundaries of reality. The tranquil facade of suburbia would forever be shattered, replaced by the haunting echoes of a presence that defied comprehension. Chapter 2, Unveiling the Unseen Forces. As the moon cast its pale light over the Hodgson residence, a group of investigators gathered to delve into the heart of the inexplicable. Paranormal experts armed with cameras, audio recorders, and a mixture of trepidation and excitement crossed the threshold into a world where reality and the supernatural converged. The air inside was thick and charged, a palpable energy that sent shivers down their spines. With each step, the floorboards creaked as if echoing the house's hidden secrets. The investigators fanned out, their footsteps muted by the heavy carpeting that lined the floors. Cameras clicked and whirred, capturing every shadow and unexplained movement. Their senses were immediately assaulted by a symphony of eerie sounds. A distant, almost mournful moan seemed to echo through the corridors, as if the house itself was exhaling a sigh of despair. Whispers brushed against their ears like ghostly fingers, taunting and tantalizing with half-formed words and indecipherable messages. In the dim light, the investigators observed objects slowly shifting on tables and shelves, as if moved by some unseen hand. A chair rocked back and forth, its creaking rhythm a distorted lullaby that belied the sinister nature of its origin. Shadows danced on the walls, their shapes twisting and contorting into grotesque forms that seemed to mock the laws of physics. As the night deepened, the investigators huddled in the darkness, their breath visible in the cold air. A sudden chill enveloped them, causing goosebumps to rise on their flesh. It was as if an icy hand had reached out from the beyond, seeking to draw them into the abyss. Cameras malfunctioned, emitting distorted flashes of light that seemed to capture fleeting glimpses of phantasmal figures. Their audio recorders picked up strange, disembodied voices, whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The words were distorted, unintelligible, yet dripping with an otherworldly malevolence that sent a shiver down their spines. One investigator felt a weight settle on his chest, constricting his breath as if an invisible force sought to suffocate him. In a moment of daring, they attempted to communicate with the unseen forces. Questions hung heavy in the air, their words punctuated by the staccato clicks of the camera shutters. The responses were chillingly direct, as if the veil between the living and the dead had been momentarily lifted. The voice that emerged from the void spoke of ancient secrets, of tormented souls trapped in a realm beyond human comprehension. As the night drew to a close, the investigators retreated from the Hodgson residence, their minds reeling from the horrors they had witnessed. Their equipment yielded recordings that defied explanations, photographs of apparitions that flickered at the edge of perception, audio snippets that echoed with ghostly resonance. The unseen forces that had gripped the Hodgson home were real, tangible in a way that defied logic and challenged the very fabric of reality. The investigators had stepped into a realm where the normal rules no longer applied, where the mundane gave way to the terrifyingly supernatural. The haunting enigma of Enfield had revealed its sinister face, leaving its mark on those who dared to venture into its depths. Chapter 3: The Hodgson Family's Struggle. Within the walls of the Hodgson residence, a family once bound by love and laughter now found themselves ensnared in a web of terror. Margaret Hodgson, the pillar of strength, had become a shadow of her former self. Wrinkles etched deep lines into her face, carved by sleepless nights and the weight of unexplainable horrors. The children, once carefree, now carried the burden of a nightmare that defied their young minds' comprehension. Janet, in particular, bore the brunt of the supernatural onslaught. Her eyes held an unsettling gaze, as if they had glimpsed sights no child should ever see. In the dead of night, her screams pierced the air, as if something unseen was tormenting her very soul. The nights were the worst. The family huddled together, seeking refuge in each other's trembling arms, as the house seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. The shadows that danced on the walls took on sinister forms, twisted, contorted shapes that seemed to leer at them with malicious intent. Margaret held her children close, attempting to shield them from the horrors that lurked just beyond the realm of sight. Sleep became a distant memory. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains, sent their hearts racing. The incessant knocking echoed through the walls like a haunting heartbeat, a constant reminder that they were not alone. Objects moved of their own accord, their slow, deliberate motions a macabre dance performed by unseen hands. Janet's behavior grew increasingly erratic. She would speak in voices not her own, her words laced with a chilling intensity that sent shivers down their spines. The child's voice would shift from a soft whisper to a deep, guttural growl, the words dripping with a malevolence that defied her innocent facade. It was as if some entity had taken possession of her, using her as a vessel for its own twisted desires. Outside, the community buzzed with rumors and speculation. Neighbors whispered in hushed tones, torn between sympathy and fear. Some offered support, while others kept their distance, their fear of the unknown too great to overcome. The Hodgson family had become pariahs in their own neighborhood, marked by the unexplainable terrors that had taken root within their home. Medical professionals and psychologists were consulted in a desperate attempt to make sense of the madness. Yet, all their efforts were in vain, as every assessment and analysis failed to provide a rational explanation for the horrors that plagued the family. The Hodgsons were left to confront a terror that transcended the boundaries of science and reason. Margaret's eyes, once warm and inviting, now held a haunted look, a glimpse into a soul worn down by the relentless onslaught. Her voice trembled as she recounted their struggles to journalists and investigators, her words punctuated by tearful pauses. The weight of the inexplicable bore down on her, leaving her a mere shell of the woman she once was. The Hodgson family's struggle was a battle waged on both the physical and spiritual planes. As the supernatural forces tightened their grip, the family's unity became their greatest weapon. They clung to each other in the face of unimaginable terror, their love serving as a beacon of light in the encroaching darkness. But the horrors that awaited them were far from finished, as the enigma of Enfield tightened its sinister hold on their lives. Chapter 4: Confrontations with the Unknown. As the supernatural events within the Hodgson residence intensified, a group of determined investigators and experts converged on the scene, ready to confront the unknown forces that had plunged the family into a living nightmare. Among them were seasoned paranormal investigators and researchers in the fields of psychology and parapsychology. Armed with an array of equipment designed to capture and analyze the supernatural, they set foot into the house with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Their arrival was met with an immediate shift in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, as if the very walls were watching their every move. The investigators' footsteps echoed with an eerie resonance, reverberating through the corridors like a silent warning. Cameras and audio recorders were at the ready, capturing every fleeting shadow and unsettling sound. As the night settled in, the investigators gathered in the living room, the heart of the Hodgson home's supernatural activity. The air was charged with a palpable energy, causing the hairs on their arms to stand on end. The temperature seemed to drop with each passing moment, an icy breath that left them shivering. In the dim light, objects began to move. A table scraped across the floor, its movement deliberate and purposeful. Chairs creaked and rocked, their movements defying the laws of physics. The investigators exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that they were in the presence of a force that defied rational explanation. The room seemed to come alive with sound whispers that drifted through the air, as if carried on a ghostly breeze. Words emerged from the static of audio recorders, distorted and chilling. The investigators listened with a mixture of fascination and fear as the unseen forces communicated with them, revealing fragments of knowledge that sent shivers down their spines. In a daring attempt to communicate, the investigators posed questions to the void. The responses were swift and unnerving, as if the entity sought to assert its dominance. The very walls seemed to tremble with the weight of an unseen presence, and one investigator felt a sudden pressure on his chest, as if an invisible hand was closing around his throat. Cameras captured fleeting glimpses of apparitions, indistinct forms that flickered at the edge of perception before vanishing into the darkness. The investigators' hearts raced as they reviewed the footage, the images a testament to the horrors that lingered just beyond the veil of reality. But as the night wore on, a sense of unease settled over the investigators. They had pushed the boundaries of their understanding, delving into a realm that challenged their very beliefs. The supernatural forces that held sway in the Hodgson residence were not to be trifled with, and the investigators realized that they had stepped into a realm where the normal rules of existence no longer applied. As they retreated from the house, their equipment in hand, the investigators were left with a chilling realization they had come face to face with a malevolent entity that defied explanation. The enigma of Enfield had shown its teeth, revealing its true nature as a force that defied human comprehension. The confrontations with the unknown had left them shaken, their understanding of reality forever altered by the terrors that had been unleashed. Chapter 5: Controversies, Closure, and Legacy. In the wake of the chilling encounters within the Hodgson residence, a storm of controversy swept through the community and the wider world. Skeptics and believers clashed in a battle of ideologies, each seeking to unravel the enigma that had taken root within the seemingly ordinary walls of 284 Green Street. Media outlets seized upon the story, amplifying the eerie tales that had emerged from the haunted house. Headlines screamed of levitating objects, possessed children, and malevolent spirits. The Hodgson family became household names, their struggles and terrors laid bare for public consumption. But with the media circus came doubt and skepticism, as some accused the family of perpetrating an elaborate hoax for attention and financial gain. As the debates raged on, the investigators who had ventured into the house found themselves at the center of the storm. Their accounts of the supernatural encounters were met with both fascination and suspicion. Some hailed them as brave truth seekers, while others labeled them as gullible charlatans who had fallen victim to the family's deception. The Hodgson family, weary and traumatized, faced a barrage of scrutiny that only deepened their isolation. Margaret's eyes, haunted by the horrors she had witnessed, stared back at the cameras with a mixture of defiance and exhaustion. Janet, once possessed by an otherworldly force, struggled to reconcile her traumatic experiences with the skepticism that surrounded her. Amidst the chaos, closure seemed like an elusive dream. The disturbances within the house had ebbed and flowed, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease. The investigators had departed, their equipment filled with tantalizing but inconclusive evidence. The entity, if that's indeed what it was, remained an enigma, its true nature shrouded in darkness. As time passed, the fervor surrounding the Enfield Poltergeist began to fade, replaced by other headlines and sensations. Yet, the legacy of the haunting endured. The stories of the Hodgson family struggle continued to circulate, whispered in hushed tones around campfires and shared among those who dared to believe in the supernatural. Decades later, the legacy took on a new life in popular culture. Books, documentaries, and films sought to capture the terror and uncertainty that had gripped Enfield in the 1970s. The chilling images of levitating objects and spectral apparitions became iconic symbols of the unexplainable, inspiring new generations to delve into the mysteries of the unknown. Despite the controversies and skepticism, the legacy of the Enfield Poltergeist lived on, the reminder that the boundaries of reality are not as rigid as they seem. The haunting enigma remained unsolved, a testament to the fact that even in the modern age, there are forces that defy explanation and challenge our understanding of the world. And so, the tale of the Enfield Poltergeist ended not with neat resolutions, but with an unsettling sense that some mysteries are destined to remain shrouded in darkness, forever lurking at the edge of our understanding. The legacy of the enigma endured, a chilling reminder that the world is full of secrets that may never truly be revealed. Thank you for diving into the world of words with us. If you had a blast exploring this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share the bookish love with your friends, and make sure to subscribe for more amazing 5-chapter adventures.